Hello and welcome to the weekly wrap with the USA Liberalists. We are your hosts. I am Cody, and with us today is Jordan.
I'm watching fish troll at the fish.
Today we got a lot of things that we're going to talk about. We're going to do a couple updates because I always like to follow up on the stories we talk about because I want to know how the story ends. So we're going to do a little update on the Jussie Smollett, the MAGA country hoax hate. We're going to talk a little bit about the Covington kids, get an update on them. We're going to go through the Green New Deal and everything surrounding that, Mitch McConnell's response to that. We're going to cover a little bit about the rally in Texas that Trump had this week or last week. I don't remember. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about some of the Democrats that are running in 2020. So we'll start with this real quick with the Jussie Smollett thing. Did you hear about this, Jordan?
Jussie's retarded.
Jussie. You got to say it right.
Oh, what the fuck ever. Who cares?
You don't want to get the hate mob on us.
I mean, what hate mob? Apparently those don't fucking exist.
Oh, okay. Well then,
every single time we find out about one of these stories, it's like, oh my god, I'm being mobbed, and it turns out to be bullshit.
I get so much online hate. Oh no! Turn it off.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I do. I do that on Sunday. I usually take a break from social media.
I've actually found a great way to avoid the Twitter mobs entirely. It's really cool. It's called not having a Twitter account.
Yep.
It works excellent. It takes absolutely no effort, and you never have to listen to them ever. It's excellent, actually. I love it.
Heck yeah. Well, if for people who don't remember, Jussie Smollett is the Empire actor who claims that while he was in Chicago during the Arctic vortex, that heading home from a subway, he was attacked by two people who put a noose around his neck, poured bleach on him, and then yelled, "This is MAGA country," and left. They didn't take his sandwich. They didn't take his Subway. They didn't do any of that.
I mean, presumably a sandwich is all covered in black people germs and bleach, so...
Oh, right. Well, yeah, that makes sense then.
So I don't think... I'm pretty sure the neo-Nazis are like, ew, black people sandwich, no thanks.
Well, we know that Chicago is definitely MAGA country.
Oh, yes. Massive MAGA country.
Deeply MAGA country.
So much... Like, who the fuck... What Trump supporter would seriously even sit there and be like, this is MAGA country? That doesn't even make sense. This is Make America Great Again country? Like, okay, if I was them, if I was going to go out and commit a hate crime against Jussie Smollett, or at least a fake one, I would at least say this is like Trump country. If that makes sense. Like, it doesn't... First of all, it's in fucking Chicago, so no, it's not. But, like, second of all, like, this is MAGA country just doesn't even make any sense. Like, everything about the attack just sounds like what... It literally just sounds like the progressive characterization of what they think a hate crime is and how it would play out. Like, seriously, it does. Everything about it. Like, the only people that refer to MAGA as, like... Because the people that actually like Trump understand that MAGA is an acronym. The people on the other side seem to think of it as, like, a label. You know?
Yeah.
Like, so the only way that any of this makes sense is if it was him making the whole thing up. Because I can't imagine a single Trump supporter being like, this is MAGA country, unless you manage to find, like, the fucking weird cross-section between Down syndrome's Trump supporter that also is really racist.
Right, and it's not exactly the most Republican or pro-Trump area.
No, not at all.
If you hear Tim Pool talk about it, it's like a upper scale area of Chicago where the streets are deserted except for security and police.
Well, I mean, anyone that knows anything about Chicago, it's mostly like rich white people and black people across the spectrum. Where exactly is the Trump base there? I'm not seeing it.
Well, apparently there just happen to be 2 Trump supporters out.
There's the precisely 2 Trump supporters in the entire fucking city.
The 2 Trump supporters that watch Empire and know who this guy is and can recognize him on the street at like midnight in Chicago and happen to have a bottle of bleach with them.
Yeah, I mean, even the whole bottle of bleach thing. I mean, yeah, that makes it sound like he was specifically targeted. Even the way he's describing it makes it sound like this wasn't even really a hate crime necessarily. It's more of like unless we're calling attacks against Jussie Smollett hate crimes. If he's like his own protected class, you know? Because seriously, who the fuck walks around with vaguely noose-looking clotheslines and like bottles of bleach just ready to spray? It doesn't make the whole thing is so dumb, like from front to back.
Well,
and like I've had unironically my lefty friends sharing this, like, this is what a hate crime looks like, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, that's exactly what a hate crime looks like. Fake and stupid.
Yeah, the police seem to agree with you that they don't really believe it. And according to Tim Pool, he said that some of his sources say that the police, when they're not making public statements, they don't believe this story is real. The people reporting on it don't believe it actually happened.
But no one wants to say anything until it's like 100%.
Yeah, nobody wants to say it until there's proof that it's fake because they don't want to be called a bigot or
Fucking
get the activist mobs after them. And the funny thing is the police are looking into where the clothesline was sold. They think that they found the place where it was sold, and they're reviewing video to see like maybe if they can find out who purchased it.
Yeah,
which I thought was an interesting angle, and I didn't know how you could figure out where that was sold, but maybe
it wouldn't be
have ways.
It wouldn't be that hard if assuming it was bought somewhat recently. I mean, if it was both bought somewhat recently and in a store, they can just pull security. Like, I'm so excited for the moment when they realize it was Jussie Smollett that bought it. I'm really excited for that moment because whenever this sort of thing happens, like at first, it's sort of a moment of like, oh shit, something serious just happened. This isn't good. And then you realize the whole story makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah.
And then the moment comes where it's just like, I really hope that you were the person that did this because I want to see you personally get your comeuppance for pulling this shit.
Well, the police said they are going to go after him if it's a hoax, if he lies to the police.
If this is a hoax, he should be prosecuted. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If it's not a hoax, like, okay, get those guys locked up, prosecute, throw them away. That's fine. But if this is a hoax, fuck you, Jussie Smollett. Like, seriously, you were throwing so many people under the bus here.
Yeah, and he refused his phone records because he said at the time of the attack he was on the phone with his manager, and his manager's like, yeah, I was on the phone with him. I heard this.
I heard this. What a fucking dumbass. All right.
But he did turn
your mom
over. They weren't asking him for his phone. They didn't say, give us your phone. They wanted the records, which is easy enough to give. And then I heard an update later where he did turn over some phone records, but they were redacted for whatever reason. I don't know why you would do that.
Because he's hiding something. Like, that's the only reason. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
drug deal gone wrong.
Who knows? Like, seriously, who knows? But like, if you're in this kind of position where there's like this heinous hate crime going on, and your first reaction is like, it's not even okay. You can't give your phone because you need to have it on you at all times. Fair enough. your records though. Like you don't need those.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason to hold those off, you know?
I'm gonna go
Unless you're
tinfoil
trying
on
to hide
you.
something.
I'm gonna go super tinfoil. What if he's not actually gay, and the phone records have his girlfriend's phone number in there, and he's just like using that sort of classification to kind of make himself more famous? I don't know.
Well, I don't think I'm beginning to think Jussie Smollett doesn't realize what he got himself into.
Yeah.
I don't think he understands that at some point, even if you're the victim, once you start impeding criminal proceedings, there can come a point where even the victim can be held liable for obstruction of justice. If you like completely refuse to cooperate, and they will file for his records. They will get those records. It's just a matter of, is he giving them, or are they going to a judge and forcing the phone company to hand them over?
Yeah, at some point I think we'll get some sort of update, and then
Oh yeah, no, this is not going to stay a mystery.
I'm not counting on the media to report it as widely as they reported the attack, but I am counting on like Tim Pool and some of people in alternative media will report it.
Yeah.
And so I will be clicking the share button for sure.
Oh, 100%. Like the second this came out as like a hoax, I was like, oh god, fucking damn it. Or like a potential hoax where there's like a whole bunch of questions. Because at first I was like, oh shit. You know, at first when I heard about this whole thing, I was like, oh fuck, this is bad.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll find out more. We'll keep up on this, and then we'll let you guys know what happens if we find stuff out. We'll talk about it again.
Absolutely.
Because I kind of like, you never hear, or you usually don't hear mainstream media talk about stories again. They just say, oh, there was an attack, and then they won't talk about it if it comes out that it was a hoax or they caught the guys or anything like that. And so I kind of want to.
If this is a hoax, I think it will actually blow up even in the mainstream media, just because they're going to prosecute him.
Yeah.
So even if the angle is, oh well, the Chicago police are going after an innocent gay black man, minority, some shit like that. It's like, you guys, at first they were like swarming all over it, trying to prove it was a hate crime, and then they realized, oh shit.
Yeah, they started realizing it didn't make sense.
Yeah. Like they were all over this, and now they're too far into it, and there's too much shit going on. If they back off now, the whole thing is a clusterfuck. I really don't think Jussie realized what he was getting himself into.
Yeah, the media loves this stuff. It's clicks for them, it gets them lots of clicks, just like the Covington story.
Absolutely.
Which we also have an update on. The Diocese of Covington, I believe,
yes,
did an independent investigation.
I believe the Archdiocese.
Or had a third party do an independent investigation, and
it was an independent third party.
They found the kids did nothing wrong.
Shockingly, it turns out standing there and smiling isn't actually doing something wrong. It's in fact doing nothing at all. It's in fact literally doing nothing.
It's not the next rise of the Nazis.
No, they like 1849 or whatever Alex Jones says is not rising again.
1776.
Whatever it is, yeah, that.
Yeah, I miss Alex Jones.
He's still around. He has a website.
Yeah, but I never really listened to him very much. But all I saw was on YouTube or Facebook or something, clips.
Yeah.
Now we don't get that anymore.
Yeah, now I'm watching a yawning baby turtle on Facebook.
Aw, adorable.
It's cute.
Yeah, that they did that investigation. They found they did nothing wrong, but there's still. I watched Tim Pool's video on this.
I'm beginning to think that's where you get all your news.
That's where I get. That's where I get most of my news, to be honest.
Is it? Fair enough.
If he talks about it, then I'll go and I find it interesting. I'll go pull up a couple of articles and usually read them.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think he does a pretty good job of trying to be as fair and balanced as he can.
All right, Fox News.
Hey, he's got a bias. I'm willing to admit that, but I do think he does try to mitigate it. I listen to him or Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
And a couple other people I can't think of right now. But if they talk about it, then I try to go find articles written by like CNN. That way I'm not getting just Ben Shapiro's take on it or the Daily Wire or something. But a couple other, according to Tim Pool, a couple other media outlets like Splinter and USA Today still have up their articles that say the teens harassed Nathan Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
And that they chanted "Build that wall," which is not true. It's a lie.
Dude, these outlets are so ridiculous. They actually think they still. I can't help but think that they actually think that they're representing reality. Like they're facing down a really good libel lawsuit, and they're still sitting there going, "No, we didn't do anything wrong."
Free speech, man. Free speech.
Like, Jesus Christ, guys! I don't understand how many times these guys can misunderstand free speech.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
Like every time anyone talks about it, they're just like, "Hey, but what about this thing that has nothing to do with what we're talking about?" It's incredible.
Yeah, talking about people who are not in touch with reality. Did you get a chance to read up on the Green New Deal?
All right, that was a good transition. I like it.
I'm getting better, man.
No, that was much improved. I didn't read through the whole deal, but I mean, like, if we're talking about this, oh, did you have a chance to read through the whole thing? Good for you.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, but I did get to see the highlights because people won't stop sharing them.
They're so shareable.
They really are.
Well, you got to read the New Deal legislation and then the FAQ that came with it on Ocasio-Cortez's website. And her FAQ, which I believe I linked in the description, so if you guys want to read it, go ahead. It has this line, which I'm sure everyone's heard by now, of economic security for all who are unable or unwilling to work. That's the one that's getting the biggest play.
Yeah, I think they changed that back recently, but it's almost like, I
mean,
they
cut it out.
Like, how did you guys seriously think that was good enough to go in there in the first place? And now they're running it back like, oh my god, they're taking us out of context. It was just a draft that just got leaked. A draft that got leaked onto your website?
The Republicans hacked us.
Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Did you leak your own draft? I don't understand.
Well, yeah, it does seem like we'll cover that. Well, Trump in his rally, which we'll cover a little bit later, he said it seemed like a 8th grade term paper that got a bad grade. And he's right. Yeah, he's pretty spot on.
So trash.
So when I read it, I understood it more or less basically to be socialism, just a fancy name for it. And there were some interesting things they had. One thing they did is they claim that human activity is the dominant cause for climate change. Now, I don't know if that's established fact or not. I know people don't agree on that.
This is one of those things where it's like, there's really. Hold on one sec.
All right. And another thing, well, going back to the human activity.
Well, hold on. Sorry, I had to like deal with that for a second, but
no problem.
When it comes to like the scientific evidence surrounding global warming, there's when the liberals are like, the evidence is pretty much in, global warming is happening, we did it, they're pretty much right. On the other side, the conservatives are right to point out that every time there's a projection going, oh my God, the world's going to end at X date, it never seems to happen.
Yeah.
So basically, what we know is, we know it's happening. We know the world's warming up. We don't necessarily understand how that's going to affect everything. We don't necessarily understand where the point of no return is, or how long it'll take to get there, or if there is one. We don't really know any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they say the Earth is warming and therefore we're all going to die.
I mean, like,
It
there's
could be better. You don't know.
I doubt that, but
We would expand land. Like Russia would be warmer, and you can increase agriculture,
there, like,
provide more food,
yes,
have more babies.
there are probably certain things that will improve, and there are certain things that will not, because there are certain areas where we can pretty much figure out the consequences. If the land expands, I mean, okay, that's
Like
that's
thaws
one way,
out.
that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is there's going to be a whole bunch of places that are going to be completely underwater.
Yeah, those people can move.
Like, we can figure out volume. At the very least, we can realize that there's X amount of ice over here that's going to turn into water. Therefore, there's X amount of water that's going to be moving into the ocean, which will naturally disrupt certain flows. Like, when it comes to oceanic trends, we actually have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. And that's pretty well played out when it comes to increases in typhoons, increases in hurricanes, increases in, like, weather natural disasters. Those are pretty much guaranteed. Other things, we don't necessarily understand all the variables yet, so the jury's still out. But I don't think it's safe to say that the world's going to end in 50 years if we don't, fix climate change. It's just going to get way more chaotic.
If we all don't immediately stop driving cars and riding in planes.
I mean,
I'm all for...
They're not wrong in saying we could be accelerating the next ice age, but we also don't know how long it's going to take.
I like cold weather.
I don't think that means what you think it means, but okay.
Nah, I'll be dead by then, man. Come on.
Oh my God.
No, I'm for renewable energy and green energy and cutting down carbon emissions and dealing with pollution and whatnot. I'm 100% on board, and I'm a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this. We need to eliminate cars. People can't ride on planes. We got to shut down all the coal, because we still get a massive amount of our energy from these fossil fuels. You can't just shut them all off and say we're switching to solar or wind because they don't produce enough.
And we would even look at nuclear as an intermediary option while we figure that out. That I never understood.
Yeah, I think you and I are both on the same page that I think if we want to come to some middle ground with this, is nuclear is going to have to be what we go for. And that's what I would prefer.
I mean, realistically speaking, at some point we will have to figure out renewable, because in the extreme long term, we can't just keep burning natural fuels. We will eventually run out.
Right. There will no longer be.
There will come a time where humans do run out of fuel. So we'll need to figure out a separate option, at which point it basically will come down to things like geothermal, solar, wind. Like, we will actually have to tap those properly.
Well, here in the Northwest,
I don't see any reason why we couldn't treat nuclear as an intermediary option to cut back on all these other things and say, okay, so we're going to focus current energy productions on nuclear as a means to produce green options. And then we can retire nuclear in the long term.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Well, here in the Northwest, we have a lot of our energy comes from hydro.
Fair enough.
Hydroelectric dams. So that's green.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I propose a new building project. What we're going to do, we're going to put a dam through the entire Atlantic Ocean. And we're going to use that
wall.
Build that dam. Build that dam. Anyway, it's gonna be our, like, the entire world's source of hydroelectric power. We're going to funnel the entire fucking ocean for our electricity.
That'd be cool. But yeah, they place the blame there, and rightly or wrongly so. I think it's kind of silly to place blame, first of all, but
yeah,
it is what it is. But they go on to say that it'll cost the U.S. $500 billion by the year 2100.
And this is for what now?
Climate change. That's how much climate change is going to cost.
Oh, gotcha.
Which is, I did the back of the envelope math, which is about $6 billion a year. You know, kind of the amount that Trump wants for the wall.
Yeah, that's not too bad, actually.
And it's roughly 0.03% of the U.S. annual GDP. So it's not really. I mean,
realistically speaking, what they're talking about is basically it wouldn't slow down our economy at all.
Yeah.
And it would, like, if we've got all these other nations that are slowing down their economies to try and deal with this, it just means that we would absorb all of the investment because we're actually growing. So,
well,
yeah.
And the U.S. does a pretty good job of limiting their carbon emissions, I think, better than some other countries like China or India.
I was about to say, I don't know if we do a good job of limiting it. We just aren't total shit.
We're not the best, but we're also not the worst.
Right. We are squarely mediocre when it comes to that.
So they also make the claim that we'll lose more than 90% of all coral reefs.
Probably true.
And they want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from human sources of 40 to 60% by 2030, and then have a net zero global emissions by 2050.
That is stupid and almost impossible. Like, you would literally need to nationalize the country to make that happen.
Well, that's what they want. I think that's what they want to do.
True, but like that's basically the only way that could happen is if they nationalize the country. So, yeah, that's not like that wouldn't happen. And you can thank Texas for that not happening. We have all the guns. If you want to be safe, come to Texas.
Going in April. Just won't leave. Yeah, they do relate it a lot to World War II.
Mm-hmm.
They do make a lot of parallels.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not. I don't think it's the same. It's not the same immediate threat as World War II was. Like World War II, there was the potential. There's always the potential to have troops fighting on U.S. soil at some point. I mean,
why don't we just, like, if she's really that concerned about it, she could set up like some sort of agreement with China where we help them get solar panels, which reduce their emissions, and it would also encourage investment in solar panels in China, which means lower production costs, which means they can sell it back to us at lower costs and probably similar quality, because that's how it works with China. They give their own citizens absolute shit and they sell us awesome shit. So we're getting cheap ass solar panels over here. Like, why don't we just work? Like, this is actually an area where we could work with China on this, and it would actually work out. Like, seriously.
Yeah, it's.
When it comes to production, China might be our biggest competitor, but they're also our best friend when it comes to producing shit. We could also talk to India about it. Like, if we don't trust the Chinese, India would be another great example.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, it's just economics at that point.
Yeah, this is pure economics. Like, we know that they can produce cheaper at a similar quality. So why not let them do it? Like, help them get it started and then let them take over.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see a problem with that.
I mean, it would allow Americans, it would make it cheaper on us. It would mean that we're not spending as much on utilities. We can sell the electricity back to the energy company, which they can then use on other shit. So it means more overall electricity flying around the place, because really this is just, if we're going to cut down emissions, it's going to be a death of 1,000 cuts, because it's every single individual that contributes. So it needs to be every single individual contributing to the solution. And the only way you can do that is with things like this.
Yeah, you let the market handle it, essentially.
Yeah, like what we were talking about last week with the solution for maternity leave. I think if you want a good solution, you need to make it efficient to incentivize people to actually want to help you with your problem.
Yeah. Well, to me, like the whole relating it to basically climate change to World War II. If you read, oh, what's his name? The Economist.
Which one?
I can't remember his name right now. Oh my gosh. Anyway, there's an economist. He's like a libertarian economist, not Mises, but the one after him. Hold on, now I gotta figure this out. I got it, his audio book. But anyway, he talks about how they wanted to maintain the government control after the war.
Mm-hmm.
So because they were doing such amazing things by mobilizing the economy for the war effort.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought it was great, except like the people that wanted to do that were pretty much socialists and communists. And they preferred that sort of government control over everything because they thought, well, if you just give it to the experts, they'll do the right thing. Which Britain actually tried to do something like this, and it actually wrecked their economy pretty bad after the war.
Well, yeah, you're talking about technocracy.
Yeah. Well, Hayek talks about this.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, for me, that's like red flag. I'm like, oh shit. Another claim that they made that I thought was hilarious is they claim that life expectancy is declining while basic needs such as clean air, clean water, healthy food, and adequate healthcare, housing, transportation, and education are inaccessible to a significant portion of the U.S. population.
I mean, I guess if you're super poor, it could be, but like,
I don't know their definition of significant portion.
Well, I mean, yeah, that is kind of a weasel word in and of itself, but
like, well, because the people in my wife's hometown didn't have a lot of money,
mm-hmm.
but their kids went to school and they had food and they had really clean air because it was a small town on the Oregon coast.
I suspect what they're actually talking about is food insecurity as opposed to lack of food, because that's not quite the same thing.
Well, they're talking about healthy food and clean air and clean water. And most people in the U.S. have access to clean water.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about all of those cross sections put together, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say a significant portion would at least have one of those problems. So, yeah, I could see that making sense, sort of, if you're actively trying to fudge the numbers.
Which they are.
I mean, it seems like it, but if we're just talking about, if it has to be all of those things, that should be a super small section of the population. If you only have to qualify for one of those things, that would be most people. Because, I mean, there's a huge section of the population that has issues with quote-unquote clean air, because how many people live in LA? That air ain't clean. How many people live in fucking New York? That air ain't clean. How about Houston? That air ain't clean.
Well, what's clean? What are the side effects? What is the real-world impact of this unclean air?
I mean, mostly cancer.
Yeah, but you get cancer from everything.
I mean, you don't specifically get lung cancer from everything.
Sure.
I'm just saying, like, most things don't give you lung cancer.
Okay, I'll believe you this time.
I'm pretty sure my Chick-fil-A sandwich that I had earlier today is not going to give me lung cancer.
Well, if you smoke it, it will.
I
Or if you
mean,
inhale it, maybe. But then you have like other problems.
how can I argue with that? How can I argue with that logic? Truly, it's
Just
flawless.
spitting truth, man. Uh,
Don't
there is
smoke sandwiches. That's amazing advice. Thank you.
don't smoke Chick-fil-A. I need to go to Chick-fil-A.
I'll try not to smoke Chick-fil-A.
They would appreciate it.
I just like to go to Chick-fil-A every now and again and say, I'd like an anti-gay burger, please.
Do they have one of those?
I would like a no homos chicken sandwich, pretty please.
Sounds delicious with jalapenos.
It's a joke, by the way. Can we need like an overlay that literally I can just put up and be like, this is a joke.
We'll get that. They'll have that at some point.
Yes, we'll okay. We'll work on it. I mean, at some point, I'm going to open up Photoshop and go take care of that real quick.
So another claim that they make is that the 1%, the racial income gap and gender income gap are caused by climate change, essentially. They don't say that directly, but the quote is that whereas climate change, pollution, and environmental destructions have exacerbated systemic racial, regional, social, environmental, and economic injustices, referred to as
yes, racist weather.
Systemic injustices by disproportionately affecting indigenous people, communities of color, migrant communities, deindustrialized communities, depopulated rural communities, the poor, low-income workers, women, the elderly, the unhoused, people with disabilities, and youth, referred to as frontline and vulnerable communities.
Can all the fucking white people on the planet please just go on an island for like a year? Just
That'd
like
be great.
We're just going to go on our own island for a year, and they can just figure everything out amongst themselves. And when we come back, I fully expect them to have realized, oh wait, it wasn't just white people. Oh, huh.
Well, if I'm not,
I guess we have to actually, look at ourselves and go, hey, how am I managing my life? Am I making good decisions? Because Whitey's not here to take responsibility, bitch.
Whitey's not to blame. Whitey. Isn't that a racial slur?
Yeah, no one
Whitey.
cares.
Well, yeah, it's against the whites.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was wondering, communities of color, if I'm not, I mean, white is a color, right?
No.
Oh, so I'm in a community of uncolored?
No color.
No color.
Yes.
So
I'm gonna start calling myself that, a person of no color.
So I am a non-indigenous, no-colored.
Yes.
What's the opposite of migrant? Native.
Resident.
But I'm non-indigenous.
You are a resident.
Resident, industrialized, populated, suburban, lower middle class, medium income, male,
Mm-hmm.
young, with a house, no abled, and
With labeling like
not
that,
youth.
with labeling like that, why the fuck do I even need to talk to people anymore? It's excellent. They tell me everything about them in one breath. It's awesome.
I am not in any of these frontline communities. What do they call them? Frontline and vulnerable communities. So
what's a frontline community?
I don't know. It's that's all. It's communities of color and migrant communities and deindustrialized. Aren't migrant communities just nomads?
I mean,
a migrant.
Some of them.
Isn't migration something you do for a period of time and then you stop?
I mean,
can you really be a community of migrants? Can't you just be like
yes.
Wouldn't you just be, at some point you would transition from a migrant community to I'm guessing a community of color? Or
oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Unless you're migrating from Canada. and you're white, then you would be a community of no color. All these words are just shit weasel words.
What if it happens if you're from Tanzania but you're white?
That's a problem.
The fucking SJWs explode. Their heads explode. They're just like, wait, white people aren't supposed to be from Africa. This isn't how this works.
Well, South Africa
cannot compute. Cannot compute. Disadvantaged migrant minority, but it's white. Urgh.
Well, I just thought it was weird that they use this term frontline and vulnerable communities a lot, and it means all of these things. And so basically it's just anybody that makes money to support themselves, who's not too old but not super young, who has a place to live, who's not disabled, white, and is from here, you're not on the front line of anything, and you're not vulnerable at all.
Wait, why is it whenever I hear about their statistics, it's always like, if you qualify for any of the following, congratulations, you're in our fucking statistic. Like, fuck's sake, dude. Like, can you guys please be specific about anything? Like, anything. Instead of just being like, it's a vulnerable community. What makes it vulnerable? Here's the list of things that if they're any of these things, it's a vulnerable community. Fuck's sake. How is this helpful?
It's
fucking Will Smith is probably a vulnerable fucking household according to this list.
Well, he's a community of color.
Will Smith is a community of color. You just walk into Will Smith's neighborhood and you find out there's like 20 Will Smiths.
Well, yeah.
How do you think he does so many movies?
Exactly. And the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
And occasionally makes stupid fucking movie decisions. Like this Aladdin reboot. Holy shit, it looks so bad.
Or he's in YouTube Rewind.
Oh, fuck's sake. I love me some Will Smith. I love me some Will Smith, but what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Well, not to, get off topic of Will Smith here, but
what are you talking about? That's always the topic.
It seems like mostly this Green New Deal was, they just basically tried to justify their socialist policies in any way that they can.
Yeah.
And so they also say that climate change is a direct threat to national security.
I mean, to be fair, they do believe climate change is cataclysmic, so the characterization does make sense.
Well, yeah, that's like the one part of their thinking that's consistent.
Yeah. Like, there is actually a logical thread there.
Well, at some point, the rapture is going to happen, and Jesus is going to come back, and the 4 horsemen, and it's going to be, we should prepare for that.
Apparently the 4 horsemen are going to be a tsunami.
Just as effective. I also pulled this quote out of there. They want to, quote, promote justice and equity by stopping current, preventing future, and repairing historic oppression of indigenous peoples, communities of colors, blah, 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 all those same things. They want to...
Okay, the fact that they said equity there is just like, so
right.
Wait, so you just want to redistribute white people's money? Okay. Until everybody has the same. That sounds horrifying. No, thank you. Get your equity out of here. Fuck you.
Well, they're not promoting, this is social justice. This isn't justice.
And I'd like to point something out there. Like, even when they say equity, they don't actually even mean equity. Because if you listen to it closely, okay, so indigenous people, people of color, all this stuff. White people don't qualify for any of that. So we're going to have all the rich white people handing out all their money to all of the non-white people. They're going to have all the rich people handing out all their money to the non-white people, and none of it's going to go to the poor white people. So it's just going to be poor white people and everybody else at that point.
Well, I guess there could be poor white people, low-income worker white people, white women, and youth and elderly white people.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Probably women are included in that. So maybe the white women get some handouts. But
well, if you're a man, if you're not old or young, and you don't have some sort of disability, and you're taking care of yourself and maybe your family,
mm-hmm.
you're an asshole.
Yeah,
Fuck
apparently.
you.
Being useful to society makes you a problem. So stupid.
They also say that they want to provide all people in the United States with high-quality health care, affordable, safe, and adequate housing, economic security, clean water, clean air, healthy and affordable food, and access to nature, as if the government can just do all that stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone knows the government is great at everything it does. So I don't understand why we shouldn't just hand over everything to the government, who is excellent at everything they do. And definitely don't fuck up almost every single thing they try to do ever, including the military half the time.
Well, right. If you think the government is going to be able to give you clean water, go talk to the people in Flint.
Yeah, seriously.
The government isn't going to be able to give you clean water.
And I can already hear the objections, but it's just because they weren't given enough money. Well, yeah. Why the fuck is this not being handled by contractors? Like,
Yeah,
seriously.
at some point, we didn't have enough money. It doesn't work anymore. I was actually thinking about this a while ago. That I think I was listening to Hayek or Friedman or somebody like that. They said that
just give a fucking plumbing company a tax break. Jesus.
They said these government entities, even if they fail, if a private company fails, they go out of business. If a government program fails, they get more money.
Yeah.
And so they just get bigger. So there's incentive to fail, essentially. If you do too good, then they take money away from you because clearly you have more.
Right, you've already done it appropriately, yeah. But I'm just looking at this like, seriously, what is there somebody that seriously thinks it would be a stupid idea to just look at a plumbing company, like an organization of plumbers, and say, hey guys, if you go handle this Flint problem for us, we won't charge you any taxes for like 5 years. You don't have to spend a dime.
Right.
Just have them go do it for free and just don't charge them tax for a little bit. It would be a huge boon for the city. It wouldn't cost you hardly anything. I mean, how much tax are you specifically getting from those plumbers? But they're going to do it because it helps them significantly and hurts you a little. And you don't have to spend any of your current budget. None of it.
Yeah, it's I don't know why they don't just tap the free market to do it, you know.
Seriously, incentive programs, if you work with the private market and just let them handle it, you don't give them any money because that's just going to encourage them to drag it the fuck out like we see with construction companies. And that's a whole different issue. But just offer them tax breaks. Just say, we won't charge you tax for X amount of time or for X amount of dollars or whatever.
Yeah.
It's an excellent way to boost things.
I would go pick up trash at a park for a month if I didn't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, no, if they want to give me like 20% off my taxes and all I have to do is some community service, yeah, no, seriously. Yeah, no, that's money in my pocket. It's something that's good for the community, it's good for the economy. Like, it's just good for everybody, and all you have to do is promise future earnings, sort of.
Well, so you just promise not to take more of what I earn.
I mean, yes, but you know what I mean.
Right. Well, and it's not like I would just put that money under the mattress. I would either save it and then spend it at a future point.
Everybody acts like the money just doesn't get taxed. It's like, but how are we supposed to bring in any income? Have you ever heard of sales tax?
Yeah, I'm a fan of sales tax as opposed to income tax. Sadly, Oregon is an income tax state.
I actually think there is a way to do income tax appropriately, but we can talk about that some other time.
Yeah. If Trump does another tax deal, we'll talk about that.
I think that there is actually a way to do an income tax appropriately without it being a massively punitive system. But again, another time.
So
For the
with
record, I
the
think our current tax system sucks. But anyway,
agreed, you heard it here, USA Liberalists.
taxes are bad.
And cap.
No.
Disavow.
Who
That's
are
too
you
far.
disavow? Who are you
Too far.
disavowing? The fucking hypothetical ANCAP?
Yep. Damn. Utopian and caps. And I'm somebody who was a big fan of the anarcho-capitalists for like a little while, and then I realized that's just make-believe. It's never gonna happen.
It's dumb.
It's kind of based on the idea that everybody can support themselves if the government would just get out of the way.
Yeah, it's kind of a teenage boy's wet dream. So, yeah.
Well, look, if it were able to happen, I would love it. But
Well, exactly. But that's kind of what I mean. Like, it sounds cool on paper, but then you try and apply it, and it's like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah. So along with the Green New Deal, they posted this FAQ, and within the FAQ, we already talked about the unwilling to work. They call it "This is our moonshot," and so they're trying to draw on these great moments in U.S. history and take some of that thunder and apply it here. They try to get around the question of, well, how much is this going to cost, by saying it's a massive investment in our economy and society, so therefore it's not an expenditure. That's
not how expenditures work.
That's not how it works at all. Like, if I put a new roof on my house, that's an investment in my house, but it's also an expenditure because it's super freaking expensive.
Yeah, it's like, but it's an investment in your house. You're going to make like $100,000 on this when you sell the house. It's like, yeah, but it's costing me $10,000 right now.
Yeah, which I don't have.
Exactly.
And then I'm gonna have to borrow and pay interest on, which I might just make it a wash depending on how much the interest rate is.
Exactly.
But that's the risk.
This isn't even like a situation, like, we can't just borrow the money either. It's like, we can't just keep borrowing forever, guys. We do need to, like, even left-wing art, like, outlets at this point are going like, okay, so the debt is going up too fast.
That is like my biggest pet peeve right now.
Like, the debt is going up too fast. We do actually either need to decrease spending or increase income. Like, we need to figure out one or both. Like, honestly, ideally both.
Yeah, ideally, I'd be willing to have taxes go up a little bit if there was a guarantee that all the spending, like, we'd get massive spending cuts. But yeah, I don't see that happening. But they also claim that 92% of Democrats and 64% of Republicans support the Green New Deal. It's backed by Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris.
4% of Republicans support the Green New Deal?
That's what they said in the FAQ.
So why won't any of them come out and say this?
Look, if this many people supported it, it would already be law. Are you kidding me? They would have just passed it. It would have been done. It would have been done already. So it's backed by basically everybody who wants to be run against Trump in 2020. So we got Warren, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Jeff Merkley, Julian Castro, Kirsten Gillibrand, Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, and Jay Inslee. Here's a quote, which I thought was hilarious. And it doesn't start here, but this is just the funny the funny part. You guys can go back and read it, but it says, "We aren't sure that we'll be able to fully get rid of farting cows in airplanes." Those words are in this FAQ. They also say that they don't want nuclear energy, and they want to decommission nuclear power. They plan on paying for the. Here's how they plan on paying for the Green New Deal. I mean, getting the money for this investment, rather, is by borrowing more money from the Federal Reserve. That's their plan. And with this money, they want to replace air travel with train travel and cars with public transit available to all. They want to give money to businesses who participate in the Green New Deal, which is basically crony capitalism at best.
Yeah, I was about to say, what happened to fucking, you can't just hand out money to big businesses.
Right. They want to provide job training and education to all, direct investments in frontline and deindustrialized communities. They want to use...
See, at least the job training would actually be a real investment. Like, there's a linear return.
Yeah, job training and some education.
Like, I could see that being like a real thing.
Well, yeah, if you go through it, there's parts in here that you could kind of be like, yeah, I can get behind that, but they're all so like bathed in this idealistic eco-socialism bullshit that it just doesn't. I'm done. I've scrapped the whole thing.
Seriously.
There's nothing. Let's throw the baby out with his bathwater because there's nothing here. They also want to use democratic and participatory processes led by frontline and vulnerable communities to implement the Green New Deal projects locally. And so basically they're going to prefer anybody who's didn't fit any of those categories. Basically you and me. Anybody who actually works hard and happens to be white, you won't be able to implement any of these projects. It heavily favors unions. They talk about wanting to use unions and prevailing wage, which I am 100% against. They want to ensure economic environment free of monopolies, which is kind of hilarious because their whole system is set up exactly to build monopolies. They just want to be the one to choose monopolies because they're giving money to companies and picking winners and whatever. They want to provide high quality healthcare, housing, economic security, clean air, clean water, healthy food, and nature to all, which is impossible to do. You can't give it to all because there's some people who don't want it. One.
You know what? I think I can one-up them. We're just going to take out all the other shit. I'm promising the American people free blowjobs for everybody. Just blowjobs whenever you want, male or female. You can have all the blowies you can handle any time of night, any time of day. Just, say blowjob into the air, and there's immediately going to be some, like, person that's exactly what you want, your exact fantasy to come up and just blow you immediately.
So when are you running for president?
Tomorrow, actually.
Oh, okay.
I'm announcing tomorrow.
Announcing, yeah. The same time
that's actually my pitch for my run is free blowjobs for everybody.
You're going to announce along with Biden?
Yes. I'm actually my slogan is actually just going to be like Hillary's mouth. Like just the mouth. Just open. Maybe with some like donor pictures on the side throwing money down.
Yes, make this happen.
Oh my god. For fuck's sake.
So
I too can promise things. And I can promise better things.
I can promise more.
My promises are huge. The best promises you'll ever see. Huge.
I I'd promise blowjobs and gold. We're all gonna be fucking rich. So the Republicans, so Mitch McConnell, Cocaine Mitch, that son of a bitch. You know what he does?
Cocaine?
He says, let's put this to a vote.
That was really funny.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. Because it basically forces the Democratic Party to eat their shit sandwich that they're trying to feed us.
Yeah.
And one of the Democrats, the one of them who what do you call it, sponsored this legislation, is mad that they want to bring it up to a vote and is saying that this is just Republicans who are trying to avoid the conversation on climate change. And no, but I do think it's going to, if they can get this vote to happen, it is going to expose the fracture lines within the Democratic Party, which there are a lot of fracture lines, as you can tell by the number of people running in 2020.
I mean, to be fair, I honestly think that what they're trying for is a similar thing to what the Republicans did, where they just ran a clown car and hoping that someone's good, basically.
Yeah.
They just accidentally ended up with Trump.
We're going to get the Democrat Trump.
I mean, yeah, kind of. Basically, whichever Democrat, it really is going to be the most Democratic fucking election we're going to see in a long time, because they're running like every single Democratic candidate they can get their hands on and just being like, look, which one do you guys like the best? We will fucking pick anybody at this point. We don't give a shit.
Well, yeah,
just not Trump.
I heard, I think Matt Christensen, or it was on his podcast with Blonde or whatever, but they were talking about, he said something like, if you're going to run on the Democratic ticket, you have to be, or maybe it's Ben Shapiro. Anyway, you have to be intersectional. Some asshole said this. The less intersectional you are, the more you have to hate Trump.
Yeah, I was about to say, because I don't think the intersectionality is going to work out as well as I think it will. Just because, I mean, especially because the problem when you get down to intersectional candidates is kind of the same problem you see with affirmative action in general, where if you boost someone up just because of arbitrary attributes, it turns out that doesn't actually necessarily mean they're good. Yeah, I know, it's shocking. It's real surprising when people find this out. Yeah, I don't, especially with Kamala Harris and the way she got to power. So
she followed your plan. Blowjobs for everybody.
I did not say that. I disavow.
I totally said that, and it was hilarious.
Anyway, look, yeah, my point is, when it comes to intersectional candidates, the problem is they're not going to play with anyone outside of basically the specifically intersectional, feminist, Black Lives Matter base. Everybody that's out that isn't all of those things basically is going to look at our intersectional candidates and be like, I mean, yeah, they tick some boxes, but like they also blow. So
they're also awful at their jobs.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure how that's gonna. I really don't think that's gonna work, especially since they really need a home run of a candidate, because this is something that doesn't get brought up enough in my opinion. The idea of like the incumbent's advantage.
Yeah.
Like the fact is, when it comes to presidential politics, if we're talking about incumbents, it is very rare for an incumbent to get knocked off. It is very, very, very rare. I think it's happened twice.
Yeah. The last time was Bush after Reagan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just not very common, and it takes a very, very strong candidate. Like honestly, I think with the way Trump's approval ratings are right now, if the man literally does nothing for the next 2 years, just doesn't say another goddamn word for the next 2 years, he's pretty much guaranteed the presidency.
Yeah, I can see that. Just lets the economy kick ass.
Yeah, it just lets the economy do what it's doing. Don't say anything stupid. In fact, just don't say anything. And he wins almost 100%. So it's not even about this isn't even really a question of, okay, so what are the Republicans going to do? This is really, the focus should be on the Democrats at this point, because unless they can find an absolute banger of a candidate, I don't see how they win.
We're going to go over some of the candidates now.
Okay, let's do it.
The first one I got is Beto O'Rourke. And
I think you mean Discount Obama.
Discount Obama, yeah. You probably know more about him than I do. I just wrote down some of the stuff that these
Texas
these jackwagons did this week. He tried to hold a counter rally against Trump's rally, and
it was really funny.
If you listen to the video or watch the video, you can hear the Trump rally in the background.
Like, it's not even quiet either. It's like, and we're gonna take on Trump in the background. It's like, Trump, woo! Just everybody's screaming for Trump.
I expected Trump to come out, you know, like with pyrotechnics and like elbow drop him or something.
I would have laughed so hard if Trump literally just was going to have like a ladder ready, and he was just going to go over to the back of Beto's rally, just climb up the ladder and be like, "Hi, everybody! Oh, look, there's like 20 of you guys. Huh?
Well,
how you guys doing?"
The headline would be, "See, walls don't work."
See, walls don't work. They don't keep out Trump.
Right? What good are they? But Beto did addressed the wall. While standing in front of a wall. He said, "We stand for America and against walls."
Unlike chain fences, those are incredibly valuable, and we need them to keep out the homeless people.
Yeah, right. He said, "We stand for America and against walls," as if walls inherently are somehow bad or evil. He said, quote, "We know that there is no bargain in which we can sacrifice some of our humanity to gain a little more security," which I might agree with that line, because I'm like a big fan of the whole you don't want to sacrifice liberty for security because you'll end up with none or something like that. It kind of seems like that. And I was like, oh, like he's saying something interesting. And then he said, "We know that we deserve and will lose both of them if we do." But he's talking about a border. We're not losing any liberty by putting up a border wall.
He's acting like we're doing the fucking NSA spying program again, which, by the way, I noticed that for all the talk about fucking losing liberties, none of the Democrats are talking about the bullshit that our government's pulling and has been pulling and will continue to pull.
Right.
Like, none of them care about that shit.
Well, it doesn't sell. It's not sexy.
It fucking should be. Like, I guarantee you, if the Democrats...
it's important.
Yeah.
It matters. That's why nobody's talking about it.
Oh, my God.
But there were people at his rally with Mexican flags. Now, you're from Texas, so I don't know how people in Texas feel about people showing up with Mexican flags at their rallies.
It kind of depends.
You're speaking for all Texans right now.
I mean, look, it depends on where you are in Texas, honestly.
You're on the southern border, El Paso.
Okay, well, I mean, it probably wouldn't be that out of place. Like, the border towns are going to have a pretty strong Hispanic population, and it'd be a little strange to show up with a Mexico flag to an American rally about an American presidential candidate, but is anybody going to be freaking out? No.
Yeah, I don't know if Beto is necessarily going to be a contender. Trump did talk about him at his rally, which we'll go over a little bit later if we have time. But to me, I don't think Beto would beat Trump.
No.
I don't think
you don't need to. You can't. discount Obama is not good enough. They would need someone that's actually on Obama's level to overcome the incumbent advantage.
Yeah.
It's not about being better than Trump. It's being about so much better than Trump that you can overcome that huge advantage that he already has.
Yeah. So I don't see Beto really as going to be the candidate, though he is one of the candidates that my apolitical wife actually has heard of.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something about that. That's because he was
Who,
on
Beto?
Yeah, it's because he was on Ellen, and Ellen really likes him. So my wife heard about him and thought he was really cool
No.
because she really likes Ellen.
Gotcha.
He does try to put off that youthful. I'm down. I'm one of you kids. Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah.
They all seem to try to do that, and I don't know what it is. I would so much rather a politician be an adult. I'm begging for that, and I don't understand this whole obsession with being 19.
With being hip with the kids. Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Trump actually does connect with the youth vote a little bit. Obama connected with the youth vote a good bit, and the rest of them are just trying to replicate that. But it's like, look, guys, none of these, like, the kids aren't totally. I mean, they are retarded, but like they're not that retarded that they can't tell when someone is actively trying to pander to them,
Right.
and they
Kids
don't
get
like
that
it.
immediately.
Yeah, seriously.
Probably, maybe even better than adults a little.
Yeah. Yeah, for some, like, it actually does. Pandering does work on adults. It doesn't work on kids.
Yeah.
They won't respect you if you do it.
That
When
is
it comes to
interesting.
kids,
That's interesting.
like, I mean, seriously, dealing with kids is kind of like dealing with a paranoid schizophrenic. Um, you've got to be straightforward and honest with them if you want them. Like, you've got to be straightforward, honest, and firm if you want them to actually respect you. Like, you don't have to be a dick. You just have to be straightforward and real with them, because you're not going to connect with them the same way that their friends are. It's just not going to work, dude. You're not 17 anymore. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, and it's like those parents that try to be their friends' kids. Those are always the worst.
Yeah, they're fucking annoying. They never do it right. It never comes off well. It just makes them look fucking stupid.
Well, and then the kids figure it out, and then they just start walking all over the parents, and then the kids grow up to be little
Exactly.
shitheads.
Yeah, it just creates a situation where the kids realize they can take advantage of you because you're trying to be one of them. And I mean, even when other kids try and be like one of the cool kids, what happens? They end up as a fucking gopher.
Right? They never get to be one of the cool kids.
Right.
You either are or you aren't. And then
You
if
just
you
have to
work,
accept that.
the funny thing is, if you just try to work on yourself and make yourself better, as opposed to trying to be like somebody else, you actually become more of a cool kid than if you tried to just copy what the cool kids are doing.
Pretty much.
And it's not
But,
always going to work, but you know.
no, but I mean, like, as long as you're a reasonably cool person and you actually, like
Yeah,
yourself, other
not
people
every
will like you.
not everybody can be the cool kid or super popular. Sometimes you just got to be happy with what you have, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so another candidate, Kamala Harris, was in the news today. She was on not today, this week. She was on some radio show or podcast that I never heard of, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
this one.
Oh no, I've actually heard of this one. It's the Breakfast Club. They play in San Antonio sometimes.
Oh, I've never heard of it. They sounded kind of annoying. But
Yeah, the host is kind of cool, but he also really hates white people, so it's a little awkward listening to it.
and I love white people.
Like, he is not a fan.
Why?
Oh my god, I'm watching little kangaroos go into a sack.
Kangaroos love sex, man. Why does he hate white people?
These fucking because we're white devils, and yeah,
Oh, yeah, we are.
yeah,
That's
one of
true.
those.
I am
Yeah, he's one of
definitely that.
those.
I'm very dangerous too.
Oh my
Watch
god,
out.
holy shit! So are these fucking baby kangaroos?
Well, Kamala Harris was on this Breakfast Club show, and she
You
talked
mean where
about,
she pretended that she'd ever touched pot?
yeah, she talked about smoking pot in college,
Yeah.
and she said to me, like the whole story is that she said she smoked pot in college, and then she said she was listening to Snoop Dogg and Tupac, except for she graduated college in 1986, and Snoop
Mhm.
Dogg's first album came out in 93, and Tupac's came out in 91.
Yeah.
So, which, you can just misremember something. I'm okay with giving that sort of
Dude, I don't
benefit
even
of the
care,
doubt.
but like, look,
I
I
just
don't care if
I
she
just thought it
actually
was,
smoked pot or not.
yeah, I don't care either. It's legal
It's
here.
really not that big a deal. It's just it annoys me that it's sort of the same thing as when fucking Beta O comes out on the skateboards, like, "Hello, fellow kids, look at me.
Yeah.
I too skate the boards." And
I
you have Kamala Harris going on a fucking radio show pretending to have smoked pot, and then the questions get any detailed at all, and she's just like, look, Kamala, fine, you didn't smoke pot. That's fine. No one cares. Stop trying to pretend to
yeah.
be one of the kids. Just talk about your fucking policy. It sucks. We all know it sucks. But like, maybe improve your policy, and then you won't have to pretend to smoke pot.
Well, she can't. We already told
Like, I'm
everybody
just
how
saying.
she got into her position by
Oh my
getting into
god.
position.
I swear to God, the only way that maybe she did smoke pot because that's the only way she could have possibly thought that interview was going to go well.
Well, to me, the cringiest part of the interview, which I just found hilarious, or of the clip that I watched, is she said that they asked her if she's ever smoked pot, and she said yes in college, and then she started laughing, and then she just said, "I just broke news." It's like she essentially, this is, oh, let me go leftist on you. This is a dog whistle to the media to write a story about her.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was weird. Nobody says that. If you're, she's like asking for it. Write a story
Seriously.
about me smoking pot because I'm one of the cool kids.
I mean, of course he's going to ask those questions because, like, look, again, I've listened to the show enough to realize the dude's not actually a total asshole. He's just a racist against white people.
He's
I
a
mean,
cool
I know
guy,
that
but he's a
sounds fucking.
fucking racist.
Look, I know. Look, I've met a lot of people. Okay, I'm not. I'm honestly not that worried about it. Yeah,
He can have his ideas, his
he's
awful ideas.
yeah, no, but look. He's a friendly guy in general until you get him started about the fucking white conspiracy, and in which case it all just kind of goes downhill.
Is he one of the white people are going to steal your organs kind of?
I don't think he's quite that far down the rabbit hole,
Oh, okay.
but regardless,
He's adjacent.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but of course he's going to ask questions like that because he's having fun with her. I think he actually likes Kamala Harris.
Oh,
Like, I think he
probably.
legitimately, I think he actually likes her as a person, and he was trying to be friendly, and it just made her look like an idiot because I don't think he thought that she was going to straight up go on there and be like, "Oh, yeah, I smoked tons of what's it called again? Oh, yes, the dope. I smoked much of the dope.
Lots of the wacky
Lot,
tobacco
yes, I've smoked so much
reefer.
wacky marriage, Mary Jane, wacky Mary Jane." So look,
Yeah.
it's so dumb. It's
Well,
so just stop.
and
Fucking what
she,
is with all the politicians being like, I smoked a little pot. Fucking especially with Kamala. If she okay, it's a
it's not
situation where if
even
she
cool
lied, it's kind of
anymore.
like I know. Like maybe she thinks it is because millennials like pot, but regardless, it's a weird situation for her where it's like either she lied and she's an idiot, and fucking why just shut the fuck up, or she's telling the truth. At which point it becomes a fucking federal prosecutor that was throwing people in prison for, marijuana offenses. By the way, marijuana is kind of awesome.
while smoking it, right? Well,
Right. She's fucking
part of
literally
her,
throwing people in jail while she's smoking reefer.
part of the policies she had when she was district attorney was she prevented some sort of legislation that would let people get out of jail early because she wanted to keep people in jail. So they have a program where inmates help fight wildfires.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wanted to keep people in jail so they would have enough people to fight wildfires, which seems suspiciously like slavery to me. Here, we'll feed you and offer you a place to sleep at night, but you got to go fight our wildfires.
I mean, to be fair,
Well, they
like
paid them like $2 an
I
hour.
don't think that characterization. Yeah, I don't think the characterization totally works because even if they weren't paying them $2 an hour, they are kind of paying for their food and their housing and their medical treatment and the lights and their guards and all this other shit. And the reason they're in there in the first place is because they fucked up. So I don't. I mean, obviously there are some exceptions, like nonviolent drug offenders. I don't give a. Why are they in there? Seriously, get them the fuck out of there.
Well,
but for like murderers and rapists and shit, yeah, go fight a fucking wildfire. Fuck you. You're a useless piece of shit anyway. Go fucking. If you go die in a wildfire, I mean, you are a rapist. What the fuck do I care?
We'll forgive you of your crimes.
Yeah, no, that can be your absolution. Go die in a wildfire fighting it.
Go save somebody's life.
Yeah, go do something good before you die.
Right, but if she were a Republican candidate, that sort of thing would be all over the media. Yeah. But Republicans probably wouldn't care. But I do think the more progressive wing of the Democratic Party would really cares about this. This is something
I don't know if that's entirely fair because I'm trying to imagine how Republicans would react if they found out one of their prosecutors was throwing people in jail for weed. By the way, I smoke weed.
Not the smoking weed part, the keeping people in jail part.
Oh yeah, probably not.
Republicans would.
I think most Republicans are kind of like, if you fucked up, pay back your debt to society.
Yeah, you did the crime. Now do your time.
That time involves wildfires.
Go fight them wildfires. Boom. Community service.
Like I said, I don't know. I've always said that if someone's in there for life for some violent crime, put them to work. I don't give a shit. Like, they need to do some. Like, I don't think rotting in a cell really qualifies for paying back your debt to society.
Have you ever been in jail?
You're having the society. I don't give a shit. Like, you're in there for a reason. If it's like a violent felony, you're in there for a good fucking reason.
Yeah,
not good enough.
Set you free.
Yeah, I'm just like, not good enough, man. Like, no, just sitting in a cell and getting molested because you fucking touched a little kid. Yeah, good for you. That's like the baseline. Actually do something good with your life.
Yeah. You're preaching to the choir.
How about that? Yeah, I know.
Us damn Republicans.
I'm not even Republican. To me, this is like a common sense thing where it's like, no, dude, some people fucked up so bad that, yeah, I don't really care what happens to you, and I expect you to do good.
Yeah, I know. I get that. For me,
I'm not saying like the weed smokers need to go down there. I'm not saying someone that got locked up because they had an ounce of cocaine needs to go there. But like rapists, kitty diddlers, murderers, yeah, I don't give a shit what they do to you.
Those guys are.
Yeah, sorry, dude. I don't give a shit what they do to you. Yeah.
Well, what was I going to say? I lost it. Oh well.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It probably wasn't that important. I was gonna say that for the people, I've never been in jail before, but I've been arrested, and just sitting in the cell sucks ass. Like if they came to me and told me, look, you could go out and mop the floors for an hour, I would, yeah, sure, give me something to do, because this cell with no TV, no cell phone, you're only allowed one shirt, or you can't have shoelaces because they don't want you to hang yourself. Yes, I've been arrested before. Didn't actually
It's the
make
wildfires with you.
Didn't make it to the jail. It's to the wall. Send it to the wall.
To the wildfires.
But I would rather had some task to do. You know, get up and move around, because just sitting in the cell, you run out of things to think about. Really.
Yeah.
And then you like try to go to sleep, and they wake you up and put some other people in there, and then they feed you at like 4 a.m. these gross ass peanut butter sandwiches. And this weird, I think it might have been milk. It was milk flavored water.
They were too cheap to actually give you milk. They just fucking threw some milk and some water and called it good.
Yeah, they probably bought like a gallon of milk and then diluted it with 10 gallons of water.
Oh.
But anyway, that's a story for another time. I can tell you my adventures in holding. Corey Spartacus, I am Spartacus, Tears of Rage Booker.
I kind of just wanted to have a "This is Sparta" moment where he just like walks up to Trump next to a pit and is like, "This is Sparta," like kicks Trump into a huge bottomless pit.
Yeah, that'd be great. If the left could meme, that would happen, but they can't.
I'm seriously tempted sometimes when I see how bad lefty memes are. It's just like,
yeah, you want to meme for them.
Yeah, I kind of do. I just want to be like, look, okay, no, hold on. Look, stupid. It's really not that hard. Just take charity this format. Yes, charity memes.
That's it. I'm starting my own nonprofit.
Holy shit. I need to go to 4chan and pitch that to them.
Memes for charity.
Memes for charity. Just be like, look, we all know the left can't meme. That's fine. What if we made lefty memes for them? And like slowly led them back to the center.
Yes.
Just give them like good memes that they're actually shareable instead of because their memes are so long. They're always so fucking long, or they're so short that they're incomprehensible. Unless you know exactly what's happening already on. Yeah, unless you already know everything about the meme. It's like, no, you guys, you can't shove in all the ideas at the same time, and you can't just expect me to know all of the ideas beforehand. Like, you got to meet in the middle.
I don't want to read a novel in my meme.
Yeah, I saw one that was just like a white background with a red hat, and it was like, this hat represents the history of slavery and the KKK, and racists only wear this hat. And I was like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Like, you could have done this in like 2 fucking sentences.
Right.
Like 2 short sentences. And it would have been a more effective, like, it still would have been a bad meme, but at least it wouldn't have been like, feel like I'm beating my head against a fucking typewriter, you know? Oh my, these memes are so inefficient.
We need a meme for charity. We'll kick it around. We'll kick it around. We'll kick it around the liberalists.
Holy shit!
See what we can do.
Oh my God!
Maybe that'll be the next show we put on.
We should talk to Leah. We need to talk to them about memes for charity.
Yes. All right. Write it down. Oh, I need to talk to everybody about the MAGA March Madness or whatever. Seriously.
Oh yeah, I've been actually wanting to pitch some things to you because I think it's pretty obvious at this point that we could probably use some exposure. So once I actually get like the overlay set up for OBS and get everything set up so this doesn't look completely like we're doing this out of our mom's basement.
It's my own basement.
Yeah. Yes. Well, once we
I own it.
professionalize this a little bit, I think we should like sit down and talk about strategies for how we're actually going to get this shared around.
Yeah. Sharing it on Facebook isn't always the best. So
I don't understand the Facebook algorithm, but I do understand a little bit about Reddit. I understand a little bit about YouTube. So I think we actually can make this work. But anyway, moving on.
Yes. Hello, people watching who are interested in our behind the scenes takes.
Sorry.
So Cory Booker, I didn't know this about Cory Booker. He's a vegan.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that about him.
That sounds like Cory Booker.
But he said in Veg News, the premier vegetarian magazine, he says that the planet can't sustain people eating meat. But what about, lions eating meat? Can it sustain that?
Yeah.
I
mean,
he told them that.
I think there definitely is room to talk about the fact that because the vegans do have some good points when they're like, look, we could grow like 6 times the food if we weren't feeding cows.
Yeah,
like,
if they weren't
legit.
so freaking insane about it.
Yeah, I mean,
people would listen.
Granted, but like the vegans do actually, there's a lot of things that the vegans are saying that is actually correct. Like they have a lot of very good points.
I will never be vegan.
I'm not saying you have to be, but I am saying there's a lot of things where if we listen to the vegans and we're like, hey, all right, so I still like beef. What if we like cut down on it and made some more room for wheat and corn and all these other different crops that we could grow a lot more of if it wasn't for us having to feed cows? And it's mostly cows.
Yeah, but steak is
good. It's literally, if we could actually switch over to pork for most things, and it would actually make more sense, in my opinion. Oh, come on. You got to admit pork burgers are pretty good. How about a lamb burger?
No way.
Lamb is delicious.
I would eat a pork burger. I never had one. I've had pulled pork sliders and pulled pork sandwiches. Those are really good.
I mean, they are, but like, no.
That's good.
No, you need to understand. Like, go to a Greek shop sometime, get some gyros. Maybe ask for the cucumber sauce on the side because some people don't like that very much. I know I'm not a huge fan. Like, I'll use a little bit of it.
Vegetarian sauce.
Yeah, it's definitely, that part's definitely an acquired taste. But like the fucking pita taco thing going on with the lamb chops in there, it's like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing.
No, the whole thing about the vegan thing for me is I eat a lot of eggs. Love me some eggs.
Okay,
I don't see why that's immoral.
Ow!
It's totally fine to eat eggs.
What the fuck was that screeching noise?
I don't know. I didn't hear anything.
Must have been just on my side.
Is there someone behind you?
No.
Quickly look. You're in a horror movie, man. I don't know. I didn't hear anything.
I guess.
I'll have to re-listen to the show tonight and see.
Yeah, can someone, because I know we have a couple people watching, if someone could just be like, you could tell me that if there was a fucking like screeching noise a second ago, that'd be much appreciated. Anyway, what were we talking about before I got sidetracked by something scaring me?
I was talking about eggs.
Eggs. I was just saying, like, ignoring the vegan diet, like the recommendations the vegans are making for how to change things around a little bit probably would actually be beneficial. But switching over to more of like a vegetarian mindset as opposed to vegan, probably more achievable. Because there is actually good vegetarian food. The South Indians can confirm. Holy shit. South Indian food is like all vegetarian and it's all fucking great. It's legitimately fantastic.
I don't have a problem with vegetarian food. I had a veggie burger the other day, but
all right, ignore veggie burgers.
It was okay.
Just ignore veggie burgers. Everyone knows those are garbage.
Well, Cory Booker said because we all want to know what Cory Booker says.
Yeah, obviously.
He said,
I think every waking moment, I'm like, what does Cory Booker think about this? And then I say, oh right, I don't care.
The reason he became a vegan, quote, after coming to the realization that eating eggs did not align with his spirit.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. It's as good a reason as any, I suppose. Like my wife is a vegetarian. This is my dog on the fight. My wife is a vegetarian, but it's not. She didn't become a vegetarian because she thought it was cruel to eat meat. Though she does have some of those ideas. She would not be behind your pork thing anyway. She thinks pigs are. She says pigs are as smart as dogs, and so she has a problem with eating pork. I do not share this conviction. But she doesn't eat meat because
slaughter a pig in front of both of you.
After she had her gallbladder removed, every time she ate meat, she got sick. So she's got like a biological reason not to eat meat.
Gotcha. Hey man, that makes sense.
So she didn't come to the realization while eating eggs one day that it didn't align with her spirit. She has a real freaking world reason. But Cory Booker also he says Americans need to be nudged into fake cheese. This alone should disqualify him for being president of the United States.
He can take his fake cheese and shove it up his asshole.
There's nothing wrong with cheese. Cows love to be milked. Did you see I think it was like a Family Guy or something or South Park, I don't know, where they were milking the cow and the cow was just like screaming as if it was having an orgasm.
I can see it.
Well, they love it.
It's fantastic.
So his reasoning why Americans need to be nudged into fake cheese, again, is cow farts. He basically said people can't eat meat or animal products because climate change. And I came up with a new slogan for his presidential run is "Make America Vegan."
I mean, okay, the reason they're talking about cow farts because this is actually old news.
Because
there's like a huge. Okay, yeah, there's a huge amount of methane that comes specifically from cows. That's completely preventable, and it's like more than all of our cars combined. So yeah, there is actually like a real reason to look at cows and be like, all right, is there a way to, cut down?
Make cows that don't produce methane.
You want to genetically engineer cows that don't produce methane?
Why not?
I mean,
that's a solution.
I
Look,
suppose.
We're going to be open to all solutions. We just got to put them all out there. I didn't say it was good. I didn't say it was good.
I like how among our solutions, it's just like, one option is we spread the cows out more, try and distribute the problem. We could just have less of them. We could genetically engineer the cows in such a way that so they don't produce methane ever. Just our list of options,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just adding to the options. I'm going to add another option. Instead of cows, we're actually just going to eat unicorns.
Oh, yeah.
So that we don't have to worry about them.
I would totally do that.
In the first place. Yeah, I'm going to raise and breed. Yeah, that's my solution. I'm going to raise and breed unicorns. So
I bet they taste like Skittles.
I bet they do. Our burgers are going to be fucking fantastic.
Skittle flavored hamburgers. So talking about
hold on.
Amazing things. Did you see the rally Trump held in Texas?
You mean the one we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about it. We're going to just go over it really quick. And then I think we'll do the border deal last.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to hit a couple points. I thought it was hilarious. He called out Beto during the rally.
It was funny.
There were 4 times where protesters tried to interrupt the rally, and they were shouted down every time by the crowd with chants of USA and Trump. And then Trump just stood there and stared at them until they were done or removed or something. It didn't really show what they did to them, but I thought it was hilarious. He just stands there like your father who's mad at you is just staring at you like you're gonna be in trouble when we get home. It's like, oh shit. And he said, where do these people, meaning the protesters, where do these people come from? He's like, I don't know. They go back to their mommies and get punished. He also said that, quote, Democrats have to stop being so angry, which is totally true.
I don't know what you're talking about. The Democrats are the most reasonable people I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ignore that bullshit.
There's just no response to that. I just can't even qualify that with a response. He said that there's collusion between Democrats and Russia and the Democrats and the fake news. He said, quote, too many Democrats are focused on tearing down their opposition instead of building up our country, which I actually think he got that right. There's a lot of stuff that he gets right in here. He calls out the Green New Deal, where he said this earlier, where he said it sounds like a school term paper that got a low mark. Basically, it shuts down air travel. They want to take away your car, reduce the value of your home, and spend $100 trillion, which doesn't exist.
Can Trump actually could he please just support the Green New Deal?
No, because
I want Trump to support the Green New Deal because I want AOC and all of her little cronies to have to fucking do mental backflips to be like, all right, so the Green New Deal is bad now. Like the deal we proposed is bad now.
That's true. Anything Trump touches, they hate. So
that
might actually work.
So like every time they say anything, he's just like, I agree with that. That plan is huge.
He called out
the best deal.
He also called out the Democrats for their massive tax hikes, and some of them want 100% elimination of private health care and extreme late-term abortions up to the moment of birth.
Yep.
And he also called out the fact checkers as some of the most dishonest people in media.
They're not even it's not even that they're dishonest. It's just they take, like, I think Ben Shapiro doesn't actually have this one right, where it's like they take him literally but not seriously. So everything that he says, they take 100% at face value and they mock it. So it's like they're constantly strawmanning him because half the time he doesn't mean things literally.
Yeah.
And you have to actually be able to communicate with other humans to realize when that's happening.
Well, they try to take him out of context, but they don't understand that with the internet, we can all watch the whole thing and get the context, and then we just laugh.
I think they do know that there is at least a section of the population that will just hear what they say and go, "Oh, that's the world. That's reality. That's how it is.
That's the truth right there. Truth.
That's the truth. Hillary Clinton said it, therefore it's truth. Beto said it, therefore it's truth. Nancy Pelosi said it, therefore it's truth." So
the governor of Virginia said it.
Yeah, seriously, it's so fucking stupid.
So he makes fun of the governor of Virginia, and I thought this was hilarious. I don't know if you've watched the video of him when he was doing a press conference after the
moonwalking.
Yeah, the moonwalk thing where someone asked him to do the moonwalk, and he like almost did it, but his wife is like, "Don't you fucking do that!
I will divorce you on the spot."
I thought it was hilarious.
Fucking dare.
He called that out. Oh,
and that's apparently Northam can do it because he's just sitting there like, yeah, okay, I'll moonwalk, sure.
That's like Trump at his best, is when somebody does something silly and he's just like, look at this silly thing, isn't that funny? Like, that's classic Trump, you know?
Look at this fucking idiot. Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't live in Virginia.
In the first place. Seriously.
He also called out his willingness to execute a baby after it is born, which that whole thing should have been, all over the media, basically.
His moonwalking skills may or may not be legit. We'll never find out. We'll also never find out whether or not he's wearing blackface or a KKK hood.
We'll never know.
Yeah, the world may never know. But we do know late-term abortions and baby murder. Totally down for it. He is legit in that category. He might be the #1 baby killer in the United States. He's real good at it.
He said that, or Trump said that the Democratic Party, this is a quote, the Democratic Party has never been more outside the mainstream. They're becoming the party of socialism, late-term abortion, open borders, and crime.
Yes,
and it's hard to, like, I understand that most Democrats don't believe that stuff.
Right.
Not that they don't believe their party's that way, but that they don't believe in any of those things and they don't support it. But the leadership of the party is definitely heading that way, and the activists within the party are taking it. It's like the Libertarian Party got taken over by the ANCAPs. The Democratic Party is being taken over by these radical socialists.
Well, yeah, it's really easy for a party that doesn't have a direction to just go a direction and everybody in it to be like, I mean, if I want to win anything, I kind of have to. So, I mean, it's not even that hard to figure out why. Like, most politicians in the first place are weather vanes to start with, where it's just like, they just put their finger in the air and see which way the wind is blowing. That's most politicians. So if the party starts moving one direction and they think that's what they have to do to win, well, guess what? That's what they're going to do. So, yeah. It's sad, but it's true.
Yeah, it's the Democratic Party needs to get their shit together. I don't know if they're. I've never seen a party break apart and fade into the ether, but it's happened. I mean, the Republican Party
has happened in the past. It's actually interesting because it wouldn't entirely surprise me if the Democratic Party just kind of disintegrates and something gets formed out of it that's not the Democratic Party, because it'll be tainted by that point. But like someone like Schultz, I don't think would actually be too bad of a candidate to form something that's a little more reasonable, because he's the only one I'm hearing that's even close to the Democratic side being like, look, Trump's a buffoon. I'm a better businessman than he is. I can actually make this shit work. I'm not totally fucking insane. Vote for me. Okay, that's a platform. Yeah. That's a platform. Go for it.
Yeah, if he
better than that guy. Okay, cool.
If he won, I wouldn't be. Yeah, I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it, but I wouldn't be like terrified.
Right, like my hair's not going to be on fire if Schultz wins. Like, even for someone like Tulsi Gabbard, I wouldn't be too, like, at least from what I know so far. At least from what I know so far, like, it's entirely possible that we find out later that she's like some raging racist too, because with the Democrats the way they are right now, let's be honest. Yeah, I'm fully expecting there to be some serious skeletons in her closet too, but for the moment, she doesn't seem too bad. Like, I wouldn't be sad if she was our first female president.
Right. Well, Trump goes on to say that illegal immigration is a heartbreaking human tragedy, and that walls are not immoral. Human trafficking is immoral. Drug peddling is immoral. Child peddling is immoral. Sanctuary cities are immoral. Open borders are dangerous and immoral. Which for me is like, that should be your campaign right there. Just
seriously
say that and then show clips of Democrats saying they want those things.
Yeah, no, if it were me, if it was me as Trump right now, I would already be running campaign ads. I would already be running campaign ads talking about the issues that we're having on the southern border, the problems we're having, and just compare it to what the Democrats want to do about it, which is to say nothing.
Yeah, he said that the Democrats would rather the country suffer than allow Trump to get a win.
Seriously, yeah.
No, I believe that.
No, I believe that 100%. Like, it doesn't even matter what it is. If Trump says it, they're against it. It doesn't matter what it is. No matter what, if he says it, they're against it. So, yeah, it's pretty obvious that if he's going to get a win, even if it's good for the country or good for them, even, they can't let him win.
He offered up DACA for a border wall.
Yes, blew my mind.
They were like, no.
Again, I think the real issue here is that they know if he has the wall like halfway under construction when 2020 comes around, he wins like for sure. He wins.
He's gonna do it. You know he's gonna do it.
I mean, yes, he's gonna like, because he's trying every single. the man is a fucking needle. Like, no matter what you do, he's just going to be like, what if I poke over here? Now what if I poke over here? Now what if I poke over here? Now what if I poke over here? And just keeps poking until he finds a seam where he can thread the needle through. Like, he does, like, the man, I honestly think his entire success strategy is just keep trying stuff until something works.
Well, it seems to be working.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's not actually that bad of a strategy. As long as you can mitigate your risks, no, that's actually a pretty good strategy. And you don't have to be that smart to manage that.
Well, he ended everything he said in this rally I liked as a Republican. He said the things that I wanted to hear a candidate say. And maybe that's why he said them, is because he's running again and he wants our votes. But he ended the rally by saying, he first said that everywhere socialism has been implemented has created poverty and suffering, and America will never be a socialist country, which, amen, brother. Yeah. But this is kind of a long quote, but I'm going to read it. He said, quote, "Each of us here tonight is united by the same timeless values. We believe in the American Constitution and our great rule of law. We believe in the dignity of work and the sanctity of life. We believe that faith and family, not government and bureaucracy, are the center of the American way. We believe the religious liberty, the right to free speech, and the right to keep and bear arms. We believe that children should be taught to love our country, honor our incredible history, and always respect our great American flag. We believe the first duty of government is to be loyal to our citizens, and we believe in our great national motto, in God we trust." There was some space between the motto and in God we trust, but that's basically what he said. For me, Trump there's just something about him that is through and through American. Like, he's just plain American.
Yeah.
And he might not be perfect. He might not get it right all the time, but it doesn't seem like he's pretends to love America because it's popular. I actually believe he truly loves America. Like, I get that feeling from him.
Yeah.
Or he just has really good speechwriters. But I don't think even if he had really good speechwriters that sort of feeling would translate very well.
I mean, it might, but like, delivery is definitely easier if you actually mean it.
Yeah, well, just that quote there, like, if he runs on that, I will vote for him.
Yeah.
That, I mean, oppose socialism, all that stuff, heck yeah. America, bitches. So that was all I had for the rally. I just thought it was, I don't know, just felt like he's so, for me, it's I don't know if that's because I grew up near Portland in a progressive state, that the people generally, it's not cool, it's not popular to say that you love America until you get out into the rural areas of the state. But here, like closer to the main urban centers, you do kind of get this, well, America's not really so great, and America's pretty bad, or straight up, America's the worst place on the planet. Now, the people who say that truly don't believe it deep down in their souls or wherever.
Or if they do, they're stupid.
Well, because if they did, then they would act out that belief.
Yeah.
Because I think Jordan Peterson said that if you truly believe something, you show it through in action.
Yeah, it shows itself eventually.
Right. And so I think that if people really hated America, then they're free to leave. And that's become sort of like a meme, like, oh, you hate it, then get the hell out. I don't mean that. You can stay if you want, But if you don't like it here, why would you want to stay here? Is really
like, what do you do? Basically, why are you? It becomes a question of, it's not even to get out. It's more like, no, really, why are you here?
Well, and in that quote there, he touched on a lot of like the first principles of America, like religious liberty and right to free speech and the right to bear arms, and teaching our kids to honor and respect our country, because even despite all of its flaws and all the shortcomings that are in American history, America still is a country that is unlike any other country. It was a grand experiment that has been successful.
Yeah.
Way more than any of the other grand experiments, such as the socialist experiments in Russia or the fascistic National Socialist experiments in Germany and Italy.
Yeah, those didn't go so great.
Right? And then you see, and I compare it to like the English government and the systems in Europe now, the European Union, and how they're getting extremely authoritarian and cracking down on liberty. And I just think, thank God I was born in America.
Seriously, yeah.
Where I could say, pretty much whatever I want.
And maybe you get some stupid fucking Antifa dude coming after you, but I mean,
yeah,
at least it's not the government.
That's Tuesday.
Yeah, seriously. Welcome to freedom. People do whatever the fuck they want.
Welcome to Portland, where the Antifa are the police.
Yeah, seriously.
So I didn't read too much on this border deal, but do you want to talk about it real quick before we take off?
I mean, there's not a huge amount to say. It's just, if there's a border deal in the works, he's probably going to sign it, just because I don't think he wants to. There's a bunch of people that think if we do the whole like government shutdown thing again, the Democrats go blame this time. I really don't think that's going to be how that goes. I think it's just going to be like, oh God, here Trump goes again. I think that would be the general sentiment. And his approval rating is high enough right now. I don't think he wants to fuck it up.
Yeah.
Like maybe if he had no approval, rating, if he was like
he would
where
have
he was
nothing
earlier,
to lose.
right? And then it's like, whatever, dude, we'll just go for it and see what happens. But now that he's actually riding high and the economy's good and like the policy for the most part is doing half decent, and he's at least getting some wall built, so maybe he can run on it in 2020 and be like, hey, I want to build the rest of the wall, but I need more time. Yeah, I think that he could at least get most of the benefits of having the wall under construction for 2020 without having to, completely destroy his approval rating.
Yeah, I would get the sense that I don't think people would really, if they do blame Democrats, I think most people would just blame politicians in general. So they'd blame both Trump and Democrats and Republicans.
I don't know. Funny. In my experience, it seems like most people in general are framing this as Trump's temper tantrum.
Well, the most progressives.
Not just progressives. Like,
you got to come hang out in the Republican sites.
I mean, yes, but you got to remember, I meet a lot of people. Like at my job, I meet a shitload of people. And it seems like the general sentiment that I'm getting, at least in my area, and keep in mind, this is Texas, is that it's Trump's temper tantrum. And I don't think that would change. Just because, like, I think it would be at least a better argument for this isn't my fault this time. But I don't think it would actually work. And I think he's probably right to just take what he can get, take the L on this one, and move on.
Well, yeah, I think there's going to be some people like Ann Coulter who see this as caving.
I mean, it is caving, but
yeah, but he's still going to declare a national emergency and divert military funds to build the wall because he can do that. And it might take some time to get through the court, but I think ultimately if he'll push it to the Supreme Court, because if he can't get it through Congress and he can't do it through the executive branch, he's going to do it through the judicial branch. like
he'll figure something out.
He's a needle. He's going to keep poking.
Yeah.
So he's going to.
At some point, he's just going to keep poking until something works.
He's not going to just. This isn't the travel ban. He's not just going to let the lower courts decide this. He's going to push it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, I think, would decide in his favor if legally he can do what he wants to do. And I think he's going to be able to get enough to kind of get those people to, because they say, I'm not going to vote for Trump.
Well, I'm not even sure what the Supreme Court would say about this, because this would feel a lot like legislating from the bench if they did actually say, yes, this is fine. Because it would be a situation where they're basically clarifying executive power from the judicial branch. Which
somebody's got to do it.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. It feels like, because this would also, for them to clarify anything, it would have to be a bit more broad. It wouldn't just be the Supreme Court says, yeah, it's fine if Trump wants to redirect the military for this one time, because that wouldn't make any sense. Like if the Supreme Court is giving him permission for something, it would be,
well,
it would be like the executive power to use the military to build things in general.
The way the justices, especially like Kavanaugh, have ruled in the past, I think they would want to come down narrowly to just say that, well, this instance is okay, as opposed to saying something sweeping or broad,
Yeah, but the Supreme Court very rarely narrowly adjudicates. That's typically, this is either constitutional or it isn't.
Well, we have 2 new justices now.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe
they could do it more specifically.
Maybe a third's coming soon too.
Yeah. How dare you talk about RBJ like that?
Well,
or RBG. Anyway.
If they take her out of cryostasis or whatever.
She doesn't die in the next 20 seconds.
Is this important enough?
My God. Look, good for her for sticking around for this long, but it's like, seriously, can you please retire?
Right, take some time and go spend it with does she have kids?
I probably.
Go spend it with your grandchildren and,
seriously.
Read a book. I don't know.
Just let Trump get his, because everyone knows, especially if he fucking gets a second term. Look, lady, he is going to be the one replacing you. I don't know if that's what you want or not, but really now.
Yeah, I don't know what.
It's either now or tomorrow, so.
You can either do it by choice or someone else is going to make that choice for you.
Yeah, get it over with. I don't know, but regardless, I don't think it's necessarily a good idea for the Supreme Court to be adjudicating this either way, because it kind of becomes like, if it's okay for him to use executive power to have the military go build things unilaterally, I don't know if that's a good precedent to set. But I also don't want them coming down and saying he can't do any of that, because that ends up putting some major restrictions on his ability to act during extreme moments.
Well, I think there's precedent for this already.
Is there?
I think so. I think I heard Ben Shapiro talking about it, that this is legal, that this is already a power given to the president.
Okay.
That it'll be challenged in the court because the Democrats don't believe that it's actually a national emergency.
Oh, I get how they're going to fight it. Okay.
That's my understanding of it anyway. I don't know how it's going to play out if this is what it comes to.
I mean, it sounds like he just needs to establish something constituting a national emergency.
Well, multiple caravans coming up from Central America.
Sure, but what I'm saying is he's going to have to, because he might actually want to go further back than that and be like, and show a history of problems and be like, look, if we put this in place, it'll solve problem X, Y, and Z. The reason I'm calling this a national emergency is because it's a problem that we've never dealt with, and it's always been a huge problem, and we just haven't been dealing with it. So I think he's going to need more than the migrant caravan. I do. For them to be able to justify it to the Supreme Court. Because, I mean, we've been having migrant caravans for how many decades? And we've dealt with them, and it hasn't been, even this migrant caravan, we dealt with it, and it wasn't really a huge problem. So
now
I think
it's getting more attention.
it's getting more attention now, but that kind of lends itself towards. I don't think that would be enough.
Well,
I think he's going to have to show something specific and concrete where it's like, no, the reason some X really, really bad thing is because we didn't have proper border security. This is the security I'm proposing. This is why I'm calling a national emergency. I think he's going to need a direct link where it's not just a migrant caravan vaguely threatened us like barbarians at the border. It's going to need to be like, hey, terrorist over here that came through the southern border wouldn't have gotten in if we had done X, Y, and Z. I think he's going to have to get real specific.
Well, it's not like these are caravans of coders. These are people who will probably work manufacturing jobs or some sort of labor jobs or whatever.
And how many of them are terrorists?
All of them.
No. What I'm saying is, like, he needs.
That was a joke.
He's going to need. Yes, but he's going to need something very specific because the courts are going to want a specific example of. It's going to be. I'm saying it's going to be a much stronger case if he has a specific example of. I have a really bad thing, and I can prove it, and I can fix it, and here's how I'm going to do it, and this is why I'm calling a national emergency. He needs like a direct link between all those things.
Yeah. I think they can figure something out, but
I'm sure they can. But I don't think relying on the migrant caravan is going to be good enough.
I would beg to differ. I think it is good enough. I just don't know if it will even. We don't even know if it'll make it to the Supreme Court. I was just saying that if it gets challenged in the courts,
which it will,
it'll probably be the Ninth Circuit Court or whatever one is, New York or whatever.
Right.
Will challenge it. And I bet he would take it all the way to the Supreme Court. But I don't know if it will necessarily go that far.
Another thing he could do is just circumvent the entire process, where he just like talks to the military and has them begin construction and like announce it after it's already begun, so that when it gets put through, he like they file for, it's like, we're appealing this, and he's like, yeah, okay, by the way, here's all this paperwork you need. Here's about 3 weeks of paper.
Drown them in bureaucracy.
Just drown them in bureaucracy.
You love this bureaucracy so much. Why don't you marry it?
Yeah, just completely drown them in bureaucracy all the while the wall's already getting built. So by the time it goes through and it's like, no, you have to stop. He's like, now look at that. I'm already done.
Well, I think even if he does declare a national emergency, which looks like he's going to, and it gets challenged in the courts, it's just because I think most Americans are okay with the wall or border security in general, but the challenging of it, the spin, so to speak, on it will be that they're challenging it because they don't care about border security or national security, and that'll be a good talking point for 2020.
I mean, yes, but I'm more worried about would it get completely struck down by the courts, because he's going to need to come real strong.
I don't think it will. I don't see why it would. He legally has the power to do it. Just like he legally had the power to do the travel ban.
I mean, yeah.
He just chose not to appeal because he's badass that way.
Okay, well, look, I think it's a bit optimistic to think that the migrant caravan is going to be good enough for the courts. I think they're going to want something concrete and specific, because they usually do. In most other situations, they, like in any other situation with any other case, they want specific and accurate and like all the way. They don't want hyperbole. They don't want, well, this could have happened if we didn't do this. This might have happened if we hadn't had this over here. But the court's going to say, well, okay, great, but you do.
Well, they have El Chapo just went to jail, so they have all the stuff that he was doing, and they have the statistics on the number of murders and like rapes and stuff like that committed by people who are here illegally. And
so the national emergency is that El Chapo is no longer a problem.
Well, no, they will have access to all his information and like the network and everything.
Well, great, but who are we talking about?
The government, the U.S.
No,
government.
which person are we talking about that did the bad thing?
No, they'll be able to use the evidence from like that trial. I don't know.
Sure, but what I'm saying is like if we're like I understand, but if we're talking about what would get through the courts, someone's going to need to take the time to say, okay, so El Chapo's people, right?
He basically was able to.
There are plenty of people in El Chapo's cartels that have gone over the border and done heinous shit. But we need, like, he's going to need names. He's going to need specificities. He's going to need what happened, why it happened, how they got in, how they can stop it, how his specific solution would stop it, and why this constitutes an emergency, because you can see a pattern over time. Like there's going to be a burden of proof he's going to need to fulfill, and he needs to be ready for that.
Well, he's probably going to point to the caravans, the cartels, and like MS-13, basically.
Sure. Which member?
And then which member of MS-13?
I'm serious when I say he's going to have to get super specific.
President.
He's going to have to get super specific into this, where he can point to individuals inside these cartels and say, this person did this at this time. He knows.
I have no idea. Cody Benson has no idea, but I'm sure somebody in the government knows these specifics.
I'm sure someone does, but I don't want Trump going into this thinking that he's just gonna throw out the caravan and be like, but there's a caravan. No.
You hear that, Trump? I know you're listening.
I mean, sure. Granted, but look, I'm not the only one thinking it, and hopefully other people will hear it.
It's definitely a good point.
He needs to get specific. He needs to get hyper specific. He needs to make it so specific. They can't sit there and go. They can't.
His lawyers do.
Well, yes, but he needs to be ready for that. He needs to be asking them to do this.
Trump can get public opinion behind it, but the lawyers have to get super specific. True. I get that. Yeah, hopefully he figures it out. I think ultimately, in the end, the people that really don't like him not getting the wall done will begrudgingly vote for him again, because whoever the Democrats put up is just going to be insane, and they're not going to vote for that person.
True enough.
So that we got through it all,
or we did.
Almost all of it.
Yeah. We're like on the 2-hour mark now. I think we're good.
Close enough. So thank you guys for listening and tuning in. Thank you for the likes and the shares. Please subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe so you'll get notifications when we're going live. Typically, we do this every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, and everything in between.
9 o'clock Central.
Woot, woot. And we'll see you guys next week, and I hope you guys have a good Friday and a great weekend.
And look forward to next week when we may or may not have OBS figured out.
Oh, yeah. Might have a new look.
Manly is actually right. We need to do some advertising on Minds. It's really a good idea, actually.
Yeah, I haven't looked into that either.
We probably need to, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a good platform.
Hey, I'm 100% on board with that. Let's get on there. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Peace.